Let's talk a bit about how to make hand cream at home. It's quite easy now actually to buy hand cream. There's lots of stores, especially online, that sell the waxes that you need, mostly waxes like carnauba wax and other things like shea butter. Those things that are good for the skin that moisturize. It's very easy to buy them, and there's actually kind of a it's kind of a thing, you know. There are people who really like to make their own lotions and hand creams, their own self-care products, and so there's a market for that. There's a market for like the ingredients because people like to make it themselves. Just note, however, that if you want to make them yourself, be careful, especially if you're buying online, because you can't be quite sure of their safety. We don't know if it's really clean, if it has been processed that is for safe for human skin. So you might have an allergic reaction or something. So just keep that in mind if you want to try it. But you know, maybe you're just curious as well how to make hand creams. It's pretty simple. My first job was actually at a cosmetics company, and I also got to try making lotions. So basically, you'll have your two separate containers. One of them will contain the oils, so all of the waxes, all of the fats and oils will be here. All of the things that are non-polar. So just think fats and lipids, oils. And the other container will have your water-soluble ingredients. So this is the manual, the recipe from your lab manual. It actually has only water as the water phase. Triethanolamine here is the emulsifier. So it's mostly these oils that give you that moisturizing effect. You could just use that. Some people actually use like just coconut oil as their moisturizer. They don't have to. They don't need to have it emulsified or anything. But if you're just using oil, then it feels pretty sticky, right? And it could rub off on your pillows, on your bed. But if you don't mind, pwede rin naman yun. So anyway, the lotion, at least emulsifying it in this way, gives you that moisturization, but not too not too much because it's kind of diluted, so to speak, with water, which will evaporate once you put it on your skin. Okay, so you have beaker 1 and beaker 2, beaker 1 your oils and beaker 2 with your waters. You have to heat both of them separately using a hot plate. If the DIY people, I think they just use their stove. In the lab, we would have used a Bunsen burner. And the reason for heating that is just to melt the waxes and the butters. You know, it has to be liquid so that you can mix them together, right? And then the reason that you also heat the water phase, even though you don't have to melt anything there because that's already liquid, is if you mix these two up, and one of them is cold, you might immediately solidify your oils, your butter, so you won't be able to make an emulsion. So actually, the technique is to check that they are at the same temperature. So you have if you have a thermometer, that would be better. Some people don't use it. They just, I don't know, they can tell that at least it's warm. No, you don't want it to be boiling either. You don't want it to be hot because you might degrade the substances here. It might turn into, you might burn them basically. So it's better to use the temperature, and once they're at the same temp at around 50 to 60 degrees Celsius, then you can slowly pour the waters into the oils with continuous mixing. So this continuous mixing here is the shear force that we said is what you need to create the emulsion. So that's going to break up the oils into tiny droplets that will be suspended within the water phase. Okay, so you just have to keep mixing that in the at my old job. We actually had an overhead mixer to give a more regular mixing and give a more regular droplet formation. If you have a machine like that, the droplets that will form will be more uniformly sized. If you're just using your hand, some of the droplets might be bigger, some will be smaller, so it's not going to be as smooth, but it is still good enough. Okay, and then you're going to keep mixing until the emulsion cools down to room temperature. By this point, you'll have that white lotion that you are familiar with. Then you're going to add the fragrance, a few drops of desired fragrance. Usually these are oil based, and just mix it. So we don't add it here in the beginning, even though it's oil based, because the heat might also degrade that. Fragrances are more sensitive to heat damage than the other ingredients. So it's best to just add it there. Okay. So that was actually my first job. And in true Atenean fashion, I resigned after 3 months. I didn't even finish my probationary contract. Please don't do that. It is a stereotype that Ateneans don't last long in corporate jobs, in jobs. And I guess it's true with my case. But yeah, don't do that. At least try to stay for like 6 months until your probationary period ends. Anyway, wala lang SKL.